Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another brand new live episode of Game Time here exclusively on the Game Time YouTube channel, Game Time Sports YouTube channel here. Appreciate you all hanging out with us. I am the Outlaw, John Rocha, joined as always by the man over there, the king of swag himself, Winston A. Marshall. How are you, Winston?
Oh, I'm good. I would put a jersey on, but we got too hype in it yesterday, so it's in the wash. So, this is what you get. I don't know about you, John. I am tired. I will. You were asking me before the show, if I was good.
Yeah.
I don't know who the fuck was saying I was taking shots.
Someone said you were taking shots last night.
Oh, you know what it is?
Someone saw you out and about.
No, because I wasn't anywhere. Not at all. I had a big audition, so that's what it was. That's not what they're referring to. I'm realizing it's because of the Iran game today. I was originally going to a bar at 5 a.m.
Oh my God,
with my friend.
Wow.
I didn't end up doing it because obviously of all of the protesting that's going on in Iran, a lot of people from Iran are actually very pissed off with the team because they won't make a stance right now.
Right.
They're just kind of going forward. So it's a situation where my buddy was like, look, as an Irani, expat, all that kind of stuff, I do want our team to do well, but at the same time, as an expat, I support my people and I'm not going to openly support the team right now. So I'm going to just watch it from home. And I was like, okay. So I woke up at 5 and I watched it with the homie via text, but I'm tired for that reason, but I wasn't getting ripped like I was originally said that I was going to this morning. So maybe that's what they're referring to. I otherwise, who making up lies? Just saying I'm out here just drinking and shit.
Just putting his business in the streets. Well, yeah, but they took care of business 6-2. England did against Iran. We'll talk a little bit later, some World Cup stuff for sure. But the Iranian team did protest by not singing the national anthem. And yesterday, I think the captain of the team came out in support of the women who are protesting for their rights. So they're making strong statements. And of course, those statements come with much more repercussions than they were if they were United States citizens or any other citizens. So certainly any kind of statement by them, whether verbal or otherwise, takes a lot of guts. So you got to give them a little bit of respect on that side for sure. But I hear your point of view, obviously.
Yeah, no, of course. And I it does take guts to do that. But I think for me, the thing that when he was starting to explain that to me, I was like, look, man, if all of these, it's not just women, it's young women. It's women who, to the point you could almost still call girls because they would have just turned legal age that are literally dying for this.
That's true.
So if some of the most influential men in the country and that everybody is pulling behind their teams for the World Cup, can't speak up, and I'm glad that they did. I'm glad that they did. You know what I'm saying? But I understand why people are getting pissed off. They're like, if all these girls can put their lives on the line, the least you can do is say we don't fuck with what's going on right now.
Right. We don't fucks with it. That's for sure. Absolutely. But we're gonna get into some NFL. That's where we're gonna start first. Week 11 in the NFL. Just a reminder, we don't have any Streamlabs or Super Chats that I can put on, but I can put the Streamlabs address in the chat and it'll still go to a Streamlabs place, so you can send in Streamlabs to support us doing this here on the Game Time Sports channel. I've been doing these live. I'm going to be doing these live World Cup watch-alongs on the Outlaw Nation channel to kind of motivate people to come and sign up. We got 30 new people that signed up today, so hopefully we keep growing and growing as we do more sports content.
Mitch, why didn't you ask? I literally was sitting here just watching the game. I mean, I was a little stoned, but damn, I was just right here being like, y'all just can't finish, and also the refs just gonna cheat. Cool.
Oh, the refs did cheat, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit later. But let's start off a big time with I think for me the premier game of the weekend, which was the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Minnesota Vikings, who were riding a 7-game winning streak, and the Cowboys absolutely kicked the crap out of the Vikings on their home field after they were dancing around with their gold chains on planes and all this kind of nonsense after squeaking by against the Commanders. The Cowboys brought them back to earth after their win last week as well, 40-3. This was an absolute destruction, Winston, the likes of which I haven't seen the Cowboys do too often over the last few seasons against big teams here. Tony Pollard had two touchdown catches with a career-high 189 yards, and the Cowboys sacked Kirk Cousins 7 times. I'm not going to make the requisite Kirk Cousins never showed up against the Cowboys when he played for us as well joke, but you can say clearly
but Kirk Cousins never showed up when he played the Cowboys joke. Insert here. Come on now.
This was great. What was this like for you to watch, man? What do you take from this, I guess?
I actually got really mad about this game for 2 different reasons. Not from the performance. I was thrilled with what we did. I was absolutely thrilled. It's the people that tried to take away my joy.
No,
it's clearly my boy CD having a catch, and if you feel like it's not a catch, there's at the end of the second, you might make a claim for that, maybe, but there's clearly not enough evidence, and you decided that it was okay to review the play after another play had already been run. That's my issue, because my boy Maher was 3 for 3 on plus what was it? I think they said a 60 plus field goals in his career, which is insane. That's the NFL record. And my guy drilled the ever-loving shit out of the first one. And then they go, actually, we're going to review that last play. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking kill you. And you could see it in Maher's face. They're like, are you shitting me? After I kicked the hell out of that ball. So they review the play only to go, well, you're right. It was a catch. We can't overturn this. And then I'm like, so my guy kicked the fuck out this ball. Now he has to do it again. The only thing that made me feel better is how vindicated it was when then he kicked the ball even harder. There was air time left on that bitch by the time he kicked it the second time. And so I was like, you try to rob me of my joy, but that's okay. Now the second people that try to rob me of my joy is fucking CBS, who decided, it's a good idea. You know what? This game is getting out of control. So we're going to take you to another more. Fuck you. I didn't ask for that. If you give me a goddamn option, I am on Paramount Plus. Give me an option that says, hey, if this game is boring to you, you can go and watch the Bengals and Steelers. I didn't ask for that. I want to watch a shellac what was formerly the best team in the NFL. Clearly, they got some motherfucking gaps, and we exposed every single one of them. And I'm going to say it now. I don't know if we're going to win the Super Bowl, but we motherfucking going, bitch.
Wow.
I'm so ready.
Wow.
I'm so
ready.
That kind of ass whooping on a team that is that good. As trust, the only thing that will stop the Cowboys from even winning the Super Bowl is the Cowboys. That is it. Ain't nobody touching it. The way that defense and that offense learned to play completely as a unit, and the special teams came through, and we did that to the Vikings, one of the top 3 teams in the league right now, maybe top 4. Fuck you. We going to the goddamn Super Bowl. I don't know if we're gonna win it, because we love to self-destruct, and Jerry Jones is still our owner / GM / daddy. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
He did talk about it. He did say how he felt it was the first time he's thought about the Super Bowl for these Cowboys in a while, and he's mentioned it after the game. So I hear you all are in that group think about the Cowboys, but I don't know yet, because who is the real Dallas Cowboys? The team that got beat by the Packers last week, or the team that showed up this week? I don't know. So my jury is still out a little bit. That being said, if you're going to bounce back from a loss to a team you shouldn't have lost to, by the way, you were in Green Bay just like you were in Minnesota, so don't give me this road stuff. If you're going to lose to a team like that, I've got questions about you. But if you're going to bounce back, this is the way you bounce back. And this was a very confident, driven, determined Cowboys team that won this game. And so you all showed up. So respect. We'll see what you do in a few days against these Giants, because if you go right back down to earth against a team that is right there tied with you in the division, then I really don't know what we have in the Cowboys at all. When you're firing cylinders, you absolutely look like a Super Bowl team. Not going to do that. Just want consistency.
This next game, look, there's 2 reasons. I'm not going to give them a full blanket pass if they shit the bed, but I will give them a pass for 2 reasons. One, short week. I know it's a short week for the Giants too, but like after that kind of shellacking and shit like that, everybody's going to be a little wonky. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, the Giants also have, the same record as us, and they're a division rival. So if you're supposed to play well against your division rivals. True. But all that being said, yes, we very much should go and handle the way that Daniel Jones fell apart this past week.
Yeah.
The writing's on the wall. Like the one thing that I am scared about, and I'll be honest, and this is the secret, and if someone can figure it out, we just hit it very well. We're still not super great at stopping the run. It's just that this particular, I'm just being honest, this particular game, they didn't have time to give Dalvin Cook the ball because they were behind by so much. You do not have minutes to waste on running plays. You were getting, I think he only ran it. Let me pull up the stats real quick. He only ran it 11 times. Because they did not have time to run the ball. They had to throw it as much as they could. And Kirk Cousins just ain't the answer, man, especially when you keep him on his back.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I mean, Kirk Cousins ended the game 12 of 23 for 105 yards. That's it. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Nick Mullins came in at the end just to do mop-up work there. But Dak Prescott was 22 of 25. Those are Super Bowl level perfection numbers.
88%, bro.
For 276 yards and 2 touchdowns. Pretty incredible. Cooper Rush got some playing time at the end there, remembering playing the Vikings himself. And Tony Pollard, 6 receptions, 109 yards. 15 rushes, 80 yards. Ezekiel is almost becoming, how can I say this? He is becoming like that extra battering ram that you don't need to use that much anymore. But when you pull it out, it's great to use, but you don't need it because Pollard is coming into his own. That we've seen over the last 2 or 3 seasons, Winston, that Pollard has kind of found his moments, found his gap. It hasn't been consistent, but certainly over the last few games, we've really seen Pollard kind of eclipse Ezekiel here on this team, don't you think?
Yes and no. I do think that Pollard is kind of hitting his prime, and I do think that Zeke is on the decline. So I will say that there is a little bit more in the tank for Pollard for sure. This is his moment to like bust out, but I think the 2 things that Ezekiel Elliott offers to the team more than anything is he's still running hard. Like if you look at him, he's still with his 15 carries, got 42 yards, but 2 touchdowns. Like he was that meaty back that like you would see those tandems where you would see like Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and then like
the law firm.
The law firm as we used to call him. And then it wasn't Sproles, it was Danny Whitehead. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Whitehead,
like so you would use Ben Jarvis to like run it through the tackles. And then you would pitch it out to Whitehead or hit him on like wheel routes or things like that. The only thing that I will give Pollard for as little as he is, looks a lot more like Frank Gore, where like he can run it through the tackles too. So like I do think we're in an age now where we have switched from an A and a B of Elliott at the A, Pollard at the B, where Pollard is like the 1A and Ezekiel Elliott is the 1B. But I honestly think when you throw in what Elliott does leadership-wise and his relationship with Dak and in the locker room, I think it's important to keep Elliott at the forefront and just know, kind of like how, before, like Batman is not Superman in this case. Superman's the one that's doing the heavy lifting, but Batman's the one keeping the ship running. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's the case with Elliott and his effect in the locker room. I think he's the one keeping the ship running because it's been him and Dak's team for the last 6 years. And look at the recruiting that's happening. They're trying to get OBJ to come, and especially after that game, OBJ is like, well. So like, I think you got to make sure Elliott stays in the mix. And if you want to have this conversation after this year, then maybe. But I unless Elliott breaks his leg, knock on wood, bro, like this is still his backfield, but Pollard is the stronger back.
Yeah, seems like. What do we say about the Vikings? Only 3 points here at home, riding high, a 7-game winning streak. Did they get exposed here? I've always been suspect with the Vikings. Remember, we had them dead to rights in Washington, and we let them get off the hook, and they celebrated on the plane with Kirk Cousins. Then last week they won and celebrated on the plane with Patrick Peterson. What do they, is this a kind of demoralizing loss that shatters a team that was already kind of maybe riding a little bit higher than they needed to? Or is this one of those ones that like, okay, this humbles us and we're going to work even harder? What do you think is going to happen with the Vikings after this loss?
Overall, I really like this team, so I hope that they don't completely retreat after this, but I think they hardcore got exposed. I think they are just Justin Jefferson.
Right.
You need a superstar. You need that guy that is going to go and get you what it is, but see what happened. He got targeted only 5 times. He's only able to bring it in 3 times for 33 yards.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those situations where like, if you can shut down Justin Jefferson, if this whole team falls apart, then this looks like the Lion, like You remember when the Lions had Megatron and
Yeah.
like Stafford was throwing to him, and like most of the seasons they were losing, but there was a season that Megatron was just ripping motherfuckers,
Right.
and the Lions were going off. But if you triple covered, I mean, we didn't need to triple cover Jefferson, but if you triple cover Megatron, who was left? And so I think Dalvin Cook is the guy, but he can't have, because he's still got 72 yards out of it, but he can't run the ball if there's no time to run the ball. So you need someone else to speak up. Thielen is not, he's older. He's still serviceable. He's still doing a good job, but he's just not the guy anymore. You know, Hawkinson, I guess we're kind of seeing why the Lions were able to just be like, nah, he can go. We're good. Dude got targeted 9 times and only had 5 receptions on him and only for 34 yards. Like he didn't do super great the game before either. Like it was just all Jefferson and nobody else. So like, I think we're seeing some gaping holes with the Vikings, and the biggest one it's not just the receiving core. It really is Kirk Cousins. It's just not.
It's always going to be Kirk Cousins.
If you give him time, fine. What quarterback with time isn't going to be pretty damn decent? But you see how the minute he heard footsteps, oh gee, whoo, and like lost 49 yards on those sacks.
Yeah.
Let alone could only put up 105 in the air. Like he essentially negated half of his yardage from those sets. So
that's Kirk. Yeah. We got 24 of you watching us right now. We appreciate it madly. Make sure you hit a like on this video. And if you're watching later, hit a like and leave a comment. We appreciate it very much as we build up. I know we're not getting the numbers that we did before because we're building up on a channel from scratch. So we hope you enjoy what we're doing here. Let's move on to the Chiefs here. The Kansas City Chiefs rallied past the Chargers here 30-27. Travis Kelce scoring 3 touchdowns, including the go-ahead touchdown with 31 seconds remaining. This was a heck of a heavyweight fight between these two. The Chargers, no matter what their record is, have lately, over the last 2 or 3 seasons, really given Kansas City all they can handle. They did it again in this matchup here on Sunday night, but Mahomes got enough done with Kelce, and they got past these Chargers. This could have been a nice little turn for the Chargers, maybe start to use this as a momentum builder, but they ended up losing the game there with 31 seconds remaining. So it is a bit of a demoralizing loss, but these Chiefs keep finding a way. What do you take out of this game from both of these teams here, Winston?
I think the Chargers are done.
Yeah,
is the first part of it.
Okay.
And I think the second part is Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. I've been touting Geno Smith a lot.
Yeah.
I've been giving Justin Hurts his due. I actually think by the way in which Jalen Hurts, I said Justin Hurts, Jalen Hurts. I think the way in which Patrick Mahomes is just literally dominating.
Yeah.
I think I got to take it back, and I think I got to say Patrick Mahomes is the clear front runner. And it's not to sound like I'm flip-flopping and waffling, because all those guys are still in the conversation to me. But if you were to ask me based off of all the games we've seen so far, Mahomes has never been out of the conversation of like either the number 1, 2, or 3 spot for that. Hurts, his team has for sure been like the team, but it hasn't necessarily been because Hurts has been putting on clinics. It's just that he's been playing very well. He certainly deserves some props for his game and how he ended with the Colts. But Mahomes is toying with people. This is the type of shit that we used to talk about with Aaron Rodgers when he was in his prime, where it was just like, what the fuck, dude? We never necessarily said that about Brady, except for the undefeated season with the 50 touchdowns. We always were talking about how good he was, but you had Peyton Manning running around, and he took a lot of focus in the MVP conversation.
Right.
But
yeah, agreed, man. I mean, that's the thing where he's never out of it. I think he likes a tight game. It motivates him even more, gets him to focus even more. He wins most of them. So there's a certain level of confidence when the things get tight that he's going to be able to figure out how to get the ball into the right hands and get those touchdowns to get them the victory. So I agree with you. I mean, it was a pretty incredible stat line, 20 of 34 for 329 yards. So put a lot of yards on those Chargers. The Chargers fought back. They were fighting. They were valiant. I saw most of this game. Pretty valiant way to keep up with the Chiefs. They were even ahead for a little bit, and so they gave them all they could handle. But in the end, it just wasn't enough. And I agree with you. I think the Chargers now start this descent out of the playoffs. I do not anticipate them making the playoffs. They got some nice. Austin Eckler got his touchdown got his 83 yards rushing, which is nice. But on the receiving side of things, Keenan Allen, 94 yards, no touchdowns. Joshua Palmer got a couple of touchdowns. I don't know how Joshua Palmer got himself a couple of touchdowns, but shout out to him. But all of it wasn't enough in the end to get the job done. So, I don't know what you can do as the Chargers here to take. What do you take? I don't know what you take out of this, but it doesn't get any easier for you as the season goes along here. They're going to face a frisky Cardinals team, a Raiders team that's coming off a victory there. The Dolphins, Tua's waiting for them. The Titans, who are looking good. The Colts might be reborn under Jeff Saturday with how much trouble they gave the Eagles. So, and then the Rams, I don't know what you got in the Rams and the Broncos to end the season. So by the time you play those two games, you might be out of the playoff conversation overall. So we'll see what they take from this game, but it's a tough loss for Kansas against Kansas City again. Yeah.
I just five losses like that with how stacked, how top heavy the wild card slots are.
Yeah.
You need another team essentially to self-destruct at this point. I don't know if they have the salt. You have to win out at this point, more or less. Basically, you are not allowed another L.
Yeah.
I think the one thing you have working in your favor is you only have 2 games, in my opinion, that are actually hard in Miami and Tennessee. You just ran down the list of the schedule. The rest of these teams, there is no reason that the Chargers should not just own them.
Right.
Even the Colts, I know they're having a resurgence. There's no reason the Chargers shouldn't handle their business against them. But
yeah,
you have to win out. You're not allowed to lose any more games.
Let me throw something out there. Right now they're 5-5. The Cardinals are 4-6. That's who they play next. If the Cardinals win tonight, they're 5-6. So there's only a game that separates them between the Cardinals. So I would argue if they win tonight, I would argue it might be a tougher game than you think to play these Cardinals.
For sure, but remember, they're not the odds of them winning. There's no Kyler Murray. It's Colt McCoy. I love Colt McCoy, but you're not playing at full speed. You're having to readjust now with Ertz officially gone for the rest of the season. True. That's a big if on the Cardinals when the Niners are looking as good as they are so far this season. That would surprise me. That would be something that all of Arizona will be very thankful for on Thursday if they win this game tonight. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. But you know what it is? Whatever we predicted the fucking Eagles were gonna win, and we got what we wanted, baby. They lost, so
that's true. And it's in Mexico City, so who knows how this is all gonna go down. For sure. Let's take a quick break and we'll jump into our next section here right after this. All right, let's jump into it, Winston. What do we got here? We're moving on to Joe Burrow and these Bengals. I mean, I'm starting to sense a little turnaround in these Bengals here. They beat these Steelers, avenging their loss from the first game of the season. They won 37-30 here with Joe Burrow throwing 4 touchdown passes. Samaje Perine set the franchise record by catching 3 of those touchdown passes, which is the most in a single game by a Cincinnati running back. Trent Irwin, who was a practice squad call-up, got the first score with a 1-yard grab in the back of the end zone. And Burrow went 24 of 39 for 355 yards, threw 4 touchdowns. He threw 2 interceptions, one of them to TJ Watt, which was a heck of a interception. But in the end, didn't let this get him down and systematically and methodically crushed the life out of the Steelers in that second half. So do we start to believe in the Bengals a little bit? Maybe taking that Chargers spot as the Chargers seem to maybe be imploding here. Do we think the Bengals now ascend to possibly be in this position to get that one of those wild cards, if not the division?
I mean, let's see. If we look at it right now, 7, they would be in. They would overtake it. And to be a game behind the Ravens, they have 1 game left, don't they, against each other?
Yeah.
Then I think the Bengals can very much take that from the Ravens. The Ravens look a lot better. They look a lot more consistent, but I think the Bengals are finding themselves, and that's without Jamar Chase. The fuck is everybody going to do when Jamar Chase is back?
Right.
It's amazing to see that Perine apparently can step up if Mixon has to miss extended time.
Right.
Like you've got a lot of weapons that are making their voices heard and pretty much telling everybody us being in the Super Bowl was not a fluke.
Yeah.
We're gonna go back. Whether it's this year, we'll see about that. There's a lot of very heavy competition this year.
Yeah.
But I think they will make the playoffs, and I think they'll go deep. I think they'll at least win a game, if not get to the conference championship.
Listen to this gauntlet for the next 6 games for the Bengals. They're at the Titans next week. Then they play the Chiefs at home. Then they have the Browns. You can take a rest, although the Browns did beat them a few weeks ago. Then they play the Buccaneers. Who knows what position the Buccaneers are going to be in. Then the Bills, and then the Ravens.
You skip New England.
Oh, and New England. Sorry, and they're at the Patriots. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a gauntlet, bro. That's a gauntlet.
You want to get in these playoffs? You want to earn it? You got to play essentially almost all playoff caliber teams all the way down to the end.
I mean, that's what happens when you win your division, man. You have a first place schedule, and it shows. Like that's why you're playing the Chiefs and the Titans. New England wasn't at the time. I guess they're just playing the NFC East this year.
Yeah.
Because they already played the Jets and the Dolphins. You're gonna have to put up or shut up, bro. But again, they've had quality wins. They beat the Jets and the Dolphins, two very strong teams this year.
Yep.
And you needed those. You needed some. Those were your first 2 wins.
Yep.
After taking a bad L's from both Pittsburgh and Dallas at the start of the year, so they found some rhythm, man. They're on top of it. They just beat 2 bad teams.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. Now you got a real challenge, but I think the Bengals will be all right, man.
Here's the crazy part of it. They're 6-4 right now. They're only behind the Dolphins, the Titans, the Ravens, the Bills by 1 game. 1 game. That's it. Because everyone else, all those other teams are 7-3. So if they beat Tennessee, they immediately leapfrog Tennessee to go above them in the rankings here. We don't know what we have in the Patriots in that crazy game against the Jets. And the Ravens weren't impressing anybody with that game against the Panthers. So there's some moves to be made here for Cincinnati at this point in the season at 6-4. They could benefit them down the road to be in a really good position to at least host a playoff game. Maybe not have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, but host a playoff game is possible.
That's my favorite part about this particular season.
Yeah.
There are definitely teams that are out.
There
are teams that are not. We will not be seeing them in the playoffs, and I'm talking the Jaguars, the Raiders, the Browns, Broncos, Steelers, Texans.
Right.
Maybe the Packers, but I doubt it.
Not after that.
They just lost yesterday, didn't they?
Yeah, they lost on Thursday night to the Titans.
That's right. No, so the Packers, I think the Packers are done because I think they were saying the game against us was saving their season, but then they'll immediately turn around. So the Packers are done. The Saints are done, even though they got a dub yesterday. It seems a little too late. I guess that division is so up in the air. Maybe everybody is still pretty close in that division. I just don't think there's no way that the Packers will make up the deficit with the Vikings at this point.
No.
Rams are done. That's sad. I'll be honest with you, bro. I don't fuck with the Rams. Like I'm clearly a Cowboys fan. That's sad. Like your season, like done, and you're the goddamn reigning champion, and it's only week 11. That is sad.
There's nothing you can do. Even if you ran the table, you might still not make the playoffs. Even if you ran the table, that's how bad it is right now.
If you ran the table, you would still have to have some other teams have some pretty colossal collapses.
That's what I'm saying. Even if you ran the table, it doesn't guarantee you'd make the playoffs at this point for the Rams. Yeah, I agree with you. All right, let's move on here. So Cincinnati, we'll be watching Cincinnati and seeing if they are on the up and up here because it feels like they are. The Buffalo Bills beat the Browns. Speaking of a team that was needed a bit of a victory to get on the up and up here, 31-23. After there were a lot of snow up there in Buffalo, they moved the game to Detroit. Josh Allen threw a go-ahead 5-yard touchdown pass to Stephon Diggs late in the first half, and they held on to win 31-23. They avoided blowing their 3rd straight halftime lead by scoring on all 5 of their possessions in the second half and did a better job of protecting the ball. Still, they only beat the Browns by 8 points. Winston, that to me is, don't give me this, they're playing in Detroit or is it different? Fuck that nonsense. If you're good, you're supposed to play wherever the hell you play. There was no change in time. You had to travel to Detroit. All right, fine. The snow situation was an issue. But if you're a good team, you destroy the bad teams. And it's a little hairy. You know, I love the Bills Mafia, but some of them were tweeting out how unsettled they were throughout this entire game and how frustrated they were. So in the end, they get the victory, but What do you take away from this? Do the Bills all of a sudden feel a little shaky to you as a Super Bowl contender right now?
I don't consider them a contender anymore. I consider them a threat, but everybody went to this season being like, this is their year.
Yeah.
Doesn't really feel like it anymore. Honestly, there's a number of other teams that have impressed consistently and did not look shaky in moments where they shouldn't be.
Right.
Like the Browns aren't bad, but they're not good.
Right.
They were really kind of holding out there for Watson at the end, and then that's it. I don't know, like for Allen to only go, I mean, sure, you almost had 200 yards, but he went 18 to 27 for 197 and a touchdown against a team that like is a pretty solid defense, but it's not blow your mind.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Unless their minds were like for Buffalo, because like family members were dumped under 6+ feet of snow, and that's where their mind's at. But it's not as horrible as all of that is. And I know people were having to deal with stuff. It's not like your town got hit by a Category 5 hurricane and it's instant death and destruction. Right. It's like, okay, this is bad, and we'll come back and check it out. So you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's a lot to uproot your schedule, and all of a sudden you got to make a shift to go move somewhere. And good, you got the victory. That's the important part.
Yeah.
But you want to win convincingly against teams that have no business challenging you any given Sunday. But you should not have. It should not have looked like this.
I agree. And I think we're almost to the point where Deshaun might be coming back. Right, we're almost there. As we cross the 11th week of the season. Yeah,
because they already had that. They already had their bye, so he's got one more game to sit out, and then he's in.
Yep, the Buccaneers game, and then he's in. Yeah, oof. We'll see what happens there. They play my Commanders next.
Dude, nothing would make me happier for him to completely and utterly fail. For you guys to just blow him out of the water. Again, stop making me root for the Commanders, people. I don't want to do it. It's making me have a little mini nervous breakdown. But I genuinely think I would be so happy if y'all did that to him.
COMM. All right. Anyway, let's move on here to the next game. Just Jamal Williams here. You know what? Let's get into the NFC East here. Jamal Williams ran for a career high 3 touchdowns, and the Lions absolutely stopped the Giants 31-18 here, posting consecutive road wins and their first three-game winning streak since November of 2017. Let me tell you something. These Lions have been frisky all year. Sometimes in some games, they've looked like completely lost. Other games, they're scoring and hanging with the Eagles like they did in the first week of the season. You never know what you got with these Lions. And the Giants found out. They fucked around and found out how to mess with overlooking these Lions. What do you take away from this game, man? I mean, are the Giants now all of a sudden vulnerable, which we kind of suspected with Daniel Jones as their quarterback? But this really kind of shocked everybody. What do you take away from this game here? Is this a fluke, or is this a indicator that Giants might start falling apart here?
It doesn't fully shock me because I've never believed in Daniel Jones.
Yeah, true.
He still threw for 341 yards, but it only turned into 1 touchdown, and it actually included 2 interceptions. That's not great. Like his greatest weapon is his running, and dude, he ain't fucking Justin Fields. Like like I know they love to quote unquote call him White Vic, but like
what? Who calls him?
Oh, White you didn't Vic? Hear about this? Really? Saquon Barkley calls him White Vic, and so like all of the New York fans have started calling him White Vic. Like it's not accurate at all.
Not even a little.
So like no, man. They have, again. You got to remember their schedule. They didn't do so hot the previous season, so they actually had a little bit of a cakewalk of a schedule for the most part.
Right.
You start off with the Titans. But then Carolina, which is not a good team. You lost to us. Then you play the Bears, which is not a good team, though they are finding their way. I'm actually really impressed by what Justin Fields is doing.
I agree.
But not a good team. Green Bay, not a good team. Baltimore at the time was struggling when they beat them. They're on their way now.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, not a good team. They lost to Seattle, which has proven to be a very good team. They beat Houston, but it wasn't like an ass whooping. It was like a good game. So I don't know. The Giants are going to be good enough that I think they will still make the playoffs, but think the Giants are as good as their record states.
Dude, these next 4 games they're at the Cowboys. Then we play them at their house. The Commanders play them. Then they play
4
the
divisional
Eagles
games in a row
at their house. Right. And then they play us again. So that is 4 divisional games, as Winston just said, in a row. Wow. They could be 7-7 by the end of that run.
All right, look, they lose to us. Do
they squeak by us?
Hold on, let me see. It's versus. I think they beat you the first time.
How dare you?
No. But hear me out here, because I think when you're at home, you take them. I just think you're going to lose it on the road.
Okay,
that's all. I think you lose it on the road, but I think you win at home. Okay. I think they lose both games to Philly, so that's 3 losses already. Yeah. Putting you down to 6, and then I think the Vikings, as much as we just talked about, they need to figure some shit out. They're still 8-2. They're still a very dangerous team. I think that the Vikings beat them, but I think they beat the Colts. So if that's the case, you only have 2 wins for the rest of the year. You're 9-8. What is it?
9-8.
Then I take back what I said. Maybe they missed the playoffs then, because there's a lot of people nipping at the ankles. You know.
Feel the momentum. Do you feel the momentum?
Oh, you think you're gonna make the playoffs?
Do you feel the momentum?
Is that what that is? You think you're gonna make the playoffs?
Overwhelming what I'm feeling.
Is that what it is?
We'll see, man, because we got the Falcons next. We got to take care of it, because Falcons can be dangerous, man. They can be dangerous. They put up points. It's not a given in any way, shape, or form. I knew we were going to beat the Texans. I wasn't surprised by that. But we play the Giants, take our bye week, then we play the Giants again. So that is going to be very interesting.
Boy, I love this back half schedule for us. Giants on Thursday, Colts the following week. I know the Colts are finding themselves, but I'm still not scared of them. You know, I'm not going to win. I'm going to jinx myself. Houston, better win that shit. Jacksonville, better win that shit. The only game that truly scares me, I know the Titans are there, but and you're dealing with a Derrick Henry, but you're also dealing with a very pedestrian Ryan Tannehill. And if you do the same thing to them that you did to the Vikings, you don't give them the time to use Derrick Henry. Yeah, you can handle that. So the only game that I'm actually genuinely like watching, and I think we can beat them, but it's gonna be a fucking slobber knocker, is that last game against Philly on Christmas Eve. I'm not really scared of y'all. Whether we beat you or not, I think we have your number. I'm not really worried, but I am worried about the Eagles, and I think that will determine who wins the division in this motherfucker. Say something. Say something, Rocha.
Make you worried about us, because you know who just got activated off IR?
Who?
Chase Young, motherfucker.
Oh, welcome back, baby. Welcome back. I've been waiting for this.
You know what? Chase Young got eat.
Hey, man. Hey, man, he should have been eating while he was sitting. Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Haskell said, breaking news, Justin Fields suffered a dislocated shoulder, his non-throwing arm. Matt Eberflus says he's day-to-day, but did not rule out the possibility of injury ending in season.
You should.
Yeah.
You are literally the worst. You are tied for the worst position in the NFC. Yeah. Do not put this kid's career at risk. Yes, he's been playing like a baller, but you're on a 4-game losing streak. You protect this man, because he's the future of your fucking franchise. That's why all the Bears fans and I'm like, it is a moral victory of it's something good to look at for the future. Yeah, but for sure, you are done. So I would say ice him. If they're really concerned that this could be season, ice him.
Yeah. Put him in ice. Also, Giants lost their rookie Wan'Dale Robinson with a torn ACL, which is going to hurt them. I agree, because he had 9 catches for 100 yards yesterday. And that's considering there are a bunch of nobodies who are receivers on the Giants. This was a huge receiver to lose for the season, who was getting you some good numbers. So that could also affect them going forward. We shall see. And those Lions, all of a sudden, it could be very interesting if the Lions have actually started to turn around things against under Dan Campbell. If they start to go on a little bit of a run, look, they've got the Bills next. If they upset the Bills, holy crap. I mean, then the whole division is on notice here, because they're behind. They're in second place in the division behind Minnesota at 4-6. So, you know.
Oh, the Lions?
The Lions, yeah.
Bro, come on. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this.
I'm just saying.
The only way that's happening, the Vikings are they're gonna have to collapse, bro. 4 games.
You
They're
tell
gonna
me
make
a
up
Kirk
4
Cousins
games.
team can't collapse? I beg
4
to differ,
games
sir.
with Jared, but 4 games that Jared Goff is gonna lead to close the gap between the Vikings. Really?
I don't think they're letting Goff lead anymore. He had 179 yards passing, or so. I'm sorry, 165, and they still won 31-18. That tells you, man, that is all Jamal Williams and the running backs doing their job. So I just got a feeling that this Lions team is going to start to believe, man. It's going to start to believe.
Because I'll tell you, man.
10-7 gets them in, I think. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting though. I mean, Barkley is like sort of back, but
yeah,
how do you have 35 yards from scrimmage, man?
Look,
and you're supposed to be the guy.
We know how Saquon goes. We know what can happen, which is we're not wishing on it, but we've seen the evidence.
Absolutely not. Well, we are as opposing division rival fans, but we're not on the human. We are as the level. Fans, but not as humans.
No, please play. Just don't play well. I'm cool with that.
That's it, and that's all, man.
All right, let's
unless you come and play for my team, and then in which case I hope you prosper, sir.
I didn't feel that way about Alfred Morris wearing a Cowboys jersey. All right, let's move on to the last game here.
And I didn't feel that way about fucking DeMarco Murray going over the Eagles, bro. That hurt my feelings.
I know. I didn't like that either. All right, let's move on to the last game, staying in the NFC East here. Jalen Hurts had a late touchdown run to give the Eagles a 17-16 win over the Colts 6 days after Philly lost its first game of the season. Let me tell you something, man. The Colts gave the Eagles all they could fucking handle in this game. I was watching this game on the NFL Red Zone, and if the Colts had been able, if Tim Ryan or Matt Ryan had been able to accomplish throw a couple more completions, they'd have beat these Eagles. All right. And I remember Winston, Aloysius Marshall, 2-3 weeks ago, trying to tell me the Eagles were the best team in football. And I told him I didn't believe it. Now, a back-to-back losses to the Commanders and the Colts would have shattered that overall. But I still think 17-16, barely beating these Colts, needing almost a last-minute touchdown to win the game. I wonder if the game film from the Commanders taught some of the other teams in the NFL how to beat this Eagles team, because everybody on sports radio was kissing that Jalen Hurts ass after the loss to the Commanders. Oh, it was just they didn't program the game right. They didn't game plan. They didn't give him the right plays. Blah, 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 blah. He's still the greatest. Blah, blah, blah. This we will see what happens if the Colts played in this tight and the Commanders beat them. Maybe are there some cracks in the Eagles' facade, Winston, or am I just hoping this is true so we can win the division from the Eagles?
You could win the division. I saw you try and slip that in there. That was cute. I think there's a couple things at play here. I think the first thing that we got to give credit to, we were shit talking Jeff Saturday coaching only high school football.
Yeah.
But Jeff Saturday showed up, bro. Like as a coach, he's getting them where they need to be. And let's remember, we were looking at the Colts as like a, no pun intended, a potential dark horse because there's a lot of talent there. I mean, Jonathan Taylor by himself being the running back of the year last year,
right?
That automatically makes them a massive threat. But then on top of that, you thought that this would be Matt Ryan's ability to make a little bit of a resurgence and stuff like that. So like, there's talent there to be had. And that being said, we said this about the Eagles, that they didn't necessarily have the signature win that they were looking for.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm confusing that with the Vikings. I'll double check here. But yeah, no, I mean, I guess the two wins you would hang their hats on would be Minnesota and us.
Yeah.
And the Minnesota one was pretty hardy, but the us one, the score doesn't tell the true tale of how close that was down to the wire. And then some garbage time stuff made it look different than it is. So like, it's not great, but it does expose them. And I think the big thing above all else is I think you just realized how important Goddard was as that safety valve. It's that he's obviously getting the time to throw it to his deep threats in Brown and Smith.
Yeah.
Goddard clearly was pretty important for this team, and not having him around anymore shows.
Yeah, true. That's a great point, actually, when you look at that. And, the Colts, I don't know. Yeah, the Colts, wait, the Eagles, let's look for the Eagles. The Eagles, next few games here, they've got the Packers, could be very interesting. against those Packers. Then the Titans, also a tough team. The Giants now, the Bears, maybe without Justin Fields, your Cowboys, the Saints, and then the Giants again. So, like I said, right now they're sitting at 9-1. The Dallas Cowboys sitting at 7-3. The Giants sitting at 7-3, and the Commanders are 6-5. These next few weeks, man, this could all be jumbled up completely. We don't know. We don't know, and we shall see.
It's not over till it's over, man.
Right.
But I will happily give them the Christmas present of a lifetime of losing out on being the NFC champion, NFC East champion. They will be relegated to a wild card spot on Christmas Eve. It'll be lovely. I cannot wait.
Yeah, we shall see for sure. Poor Matt Ryan. I mean, it was there in his hands. Couldn't get the job done. He had the final drive of the game, could have put them in position to kick a field goal to win the game, and couldn't get it done against that Eagles defense. So we shall see what happens with them. All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to jump into our next section of sports talk here right after this. All right, Winston A. Let's get into the best of the rest here. Ryan Tannehill led the Titans to a 27-17 victory over the Packers last Thursday night. Marcus Jones's late punt return. I watched this happen in live time. I was losing my fucking mind. Lifted the Patriots over the Jets 10-3. This game was basically 3-3 for 3.5 quarters. It was insane what was going on in this game. Andy Dalton thrived for the Saints here and beat Matt Stafford, who left the game. They beat the Rams 27-20. The Saints did here. Late turnovers helped the Ravens. Late turnovers by who? That's right, Baker Mayfield. Helped the Ravens hold off the Panthers here 13-3. Mayfield threw some of the dumbest passes I've ever seen him throw. The stupidest decision-making possible. That kid is a backup or a journeyman for the rest of his career now. Tyler Heineke won the starting job for my Commanders, beating the Texans 23-10. Carson, it was nice. Don't let the screen door hit you. Koo's late 53-yard field goal lit the Falcons past Justin Fields and the Bears 27-24. And Justin was hurt on the last play of the game. That's what sucks. Last play of the game, that shoulder injury happened. And then Adams' 35-yard touchdown in OT. That's Devontae Adams. Powered the Raiders past Russell Wilson and the Broncos 22-16. So, Winston, any of these you want to talk about? Any of these you want to get into? I know we've alluded to some of them in the course of our conversations here, but is there anything you want to spend a little more time on in these games?
I mean, all of these just so boring. So
boring.
It's so boring. It's embarrassing that the Rams have fallen off like this.
Yeah.
I guess the thing that's the most interesting was the Jets Patriots, because I really thought that the Jets they're this far superior team to the Patriots this year, in my opinion. And yet here we are, where once again, the Patriots, even if it's just by a touchdown, somehow figure out how to get around the Jets. And to be honest with you, the idea that the Jets may be considering sitting Zach Wilson, there is a high probability that he may be done for a minute here. Maybe the season.
Do you mean benching him, or do you mean sitting him?
Benching him.
You're benching
him.
Wow.
He's not looking great, man. And look, if Flacco really has something left in the tank, fuck it. Let Flacco go do a run, bro.
Yeah.
Because Zach can't be playing like this. Not when it's this tight and there are too many dangerous ass teams in the conference that will dismantle you in the playoffs. I don't care how elite that defense is. Every elite defense gets tired if their offense can't do some shit.
Yeah. And that defense came to play. That defense was all up in New England's face. It was only a special teams disaster that ended up getting the victory for the Patriots, but they were all up in New England's face, sacking Mac Jones left and right. Zach Wilson didn't want to take any of the blame at the end of the game. They asked him in the post-game media room, hey, do you take any responsibility here? Do you feel like you let the defense down and played such an incredible game? He said, no, it was bad. Also, the winds were kicking up, bro. That's what he said. The winds were kicking up, bro. Well, let me tell you something. You know who was playing in those winds? Mac Jones was playing in those winds. And Mac Jones threw for 246 yards and 23 of 27, for God's sakes, while you were 9 of 22 for 77 yards. I agree with you. If Saleh is considering sitting Zach Wilson to put Flacco or Tim White, I think, no, wait, not Tim White. Who's the Mike White? Mike White is the second right now on the depth chart. To see what you've got in Mike White, I think you do it, man. You save the season possibly if you make that move. Because, I mean, this is a horrible performance from a quarterback who himself said he was frustrated at the way he had lost to New England before.
77 fucking yards. I mean, they both had abysmal QBRs. I mean, Mac Jones was sitting at 20.4, so he actually had a worse QBR than Zach Wilson.
Right.
But at least he put up some yardage. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they didn't. That's the thing. Neither of them are good. Neither of them converted into anything. Like the Jets didn't get a touchdown, and the Patriots got theirs last minute. Yeah. And if I remember correctly, wasn't it a defensive touchdown at the last minute?
No, it was a punt return.
It was a punt return. That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But I don't know, dude. I expected more out of the Jets here.
Yeah.
But Belichick just knows how to beat them. He's done a very good job of getting in their head. So the Jets aren't done, but you were already behind the 8 ball, not having your ace in the hole in the rookie Bryce hall anymore. So you need to make sure the rest of your team is firing on all cylinders. The defense is doing just fine. They keep playing like that, they will win a shit ton of games, but their offense has to back them up.
Right. Yeah, you're looking at them right now in the division. They're in last place at 6-4 in the division.
That's wild that you're in last at 6-4. Holy shit.
But they're 2-2 in the division, and 2 of those losses are against the team that's right above them, New England. And they're not going to leapfrog New England if they're tied at the end of the season, right? So that's the thing that you have to think about, because the Bills and the Dolphins are only above them by 1 game because they're both 7-3. So this division is still up for grabs. Any of these teams could win this division right now or going into the back half of the season. So it's crazy. As competitive as the NFC East is, the AFC East is just as competitive as well. So it's going to be real fascinating to monitor this as we go over the next few weeks, especially for the Jets. Like, they've got the Bears next week. If you got the Bears without Justin Fields, you need to be winning that game. They got the Vikings. That's going to be tough. They're at Buffalo. That's going to be tough. The Lions all of a sudden look like a tough out. The Jaguars, you never know what you're going to get with the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. Those Seahawks with Geno Smith, and then they're at the Dolphins. So it's a hell of a back half of a season for these Jets in these games.
It's exciting, man, because everybody's schedule could be a banger. You could either run it and go, damn, that's the best team that we're seeing out here, or you could self-destruct because, like, there are so many good teams. Like, there's not a lot of these, like, big win teams that are I'm sorry, I just got a text message from a friend about the game in Mexico.
Oh,
and he was like, Nick Bosa mad as hell playing for all them brown people down there.
Oh shit.
Because his racist ass.
No shit. Fucking surprised he went to the game. Yeah.
I'm saying, bro. But I look at it and, like, again, we have 2 big tests, I think, in Philly and Tennessee, but we have a pretty relatively easy schedule to go out. But most of the teams that have good schedules, they have hard ass finishes.
Yeah.
So, like, you really, these current standings don't mean shit. Like, you have to win every single time.
And here's what Robert Zilli said, asked about it today. He said, we're keeping everything on the table over the next couple of days. Asked if he's prepared to name Wilson as the starter this week. He said, quote, not right now, not until I'm done evaluating everything. Mike White is next up on the depth chart. And then there's Flacco, who played 3 games during Wilson's injury earlier this season. So Wilson is 5-2 as a starter, but he played poorly against the Patriots. And so we'll see. I'm not sure what you get with Mike White. I know what you get with Flacco. And certainly the team seemed to rally around Flacco when he played for Zach during those 3 games. So you never know. You never know for sure. As for me, do I talk about my Commanders? I mean, I feel like, do I dare believe in this team? I don't want to believe in this team. But, I like Tyler. I've liked Tyler since last year. And
you won. That's the most important part.
We won.
But it was the Texans.
We're supposed to win, though, right? We win
to win.
Now, in years past, my Commanders have done a really good job at playing down to the competition. So winning 23-10 was nice for us. I like it. It puts us in the mix Again, if we had held on against these Vikings and kept everything the same, we'd be 7-4 right now, which would be really interesting at this point. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of beeping going on. But I'm a big fan of what we're doing. We'll see what happens over the next few weeks if we can keep the momentum going. Because I know from my Commanders and Tyler Henneke start to believe in everything, and all of a sudden crash and burn and make stupid mistakes. Because Tyler at times loses his head, throws interceptions, makes mistakes. I've seen it happen too many times. So
there's a really interesting thing that happens with backups, especially backups that were former like starters and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, this is my chance again. And a lot of times that first game out or that second game out, they like cook, but then they come back down to earth as to why they're a backup in the first place. So for your sake, John, I hope that Henneke holds on to that magic that's fueling him right now. For my sake, I don't, but for yours, you know, I want you to have nice things too.
Tis the season. Let's move on to some predictions here for tonight. Speaking of Mexico City, let's move on to some predictions here. 49ers versus Cardinals. This is a toss-up to me. I can believe either team winning this game.
Nope.
Because I don't really believe in either team. What do you think is going to happen? You know, they're playing in Mexico City.
With no Kyler Murray and no Zach Ertz, no, sir. The Niners are winning this game. And you know what? If our mutant powers kick in again and we fully backflip on this,
don't put we in the mix. I'm taking the Cardinals in this game.
Oh, well, then in that case, I think, you know, almost like Scott Summers and his brother Alex Havoc, our powers have neutralized. We can't harm each other. You cannot harm me in my Jamaican colors. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we're both going opposite, it's only if we both pick the same team that it seems
that's true.
That's polar opposite.
So. Yeah. So I got the Cardinals pulling an upset here. I just feel like the 49ers are going to feel like they're going to win this thing and overlook the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are going to come in and shock them. And you just never know what happens what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico. You just never know. The waters are
unless
crazy.
It's nationally broadcast or internationally broadcast.
I guess so. Good point. Let's move on to these because we're not going to be hanging out for the Thanksgiving Day games. Winston, this is starting off. We got 3 of them here on Thursday. I am alone for Thanksgiving, so I'm going to be chilling, watching football the whole day, hanging out, just me and my turkey legs. Bills versus. So I may do some live streaming during Thanksgiving. Just letting you guys know.
I've got to cook, and then I got to get over to my sister's, but I'll be around in the morning. So just let me know.
Right on. Bills versus Lions. Who you got?
I
should say correctly where they're at. So let me put that together. Sorry. Bills will be at the Lions at Detroit for this game.
It's always the Lions and the Cowboys always get a home game Thanksgiving. So they've been doing that for quite some time. So it's because same thing. You have Cowboys versus Giants here, but it's actually the Giants are coming to us. But anyway, I mean, even with them looking a little shaky, I don't see the Lions beating the Bills. That seems silly to me. It could happen.
Yeah.
But I think the Bills will handle that.
Okay. I take the Lions in an upset.
Interesting. Really okay, cool. No powers working then. If we're going polar opposites again, that's great. Good to know.
But, I mean, this is kind of a home game for the Buffalo Bills. They just played in Detroit this past Sunday, so
they know the stadium. You know what I mean? Like they'll be fine. Which did you see the tweets from the Lions account being like, "Hey, we left the keys under the mat. Make sure you turn the lights off when you leave." The refrigerator sticks a little bit, so if it makes a weird noise, just ignore that. Like I was like, okay, that's actually pretty funny.
That is funny, actually. I like it. All right, Giants and Cowboys here in Dallas. Giants coming off that soul-crushing loss to the Lions, facing a Cowboys team that's riding high off that victory over the Vikings. So, what do you think?
I'm not going to give you a prediction. I refuse.
Well, come on, no way.
You know what I want to happen, but I am not jinxing us. Okay. In case I truly have this superpower, I'm not doing it. You know what my heart wants, and you know what logic dictates, but I will not say the words because
is your heart the prediction? Power. Is your heart the prediction?
No. Words have power. It's the minute I speak it out loud that things start going sideways. So I'm just gonna
Okay.
Zip. You know where you know what I think.
I hear you. Yeah, I think so too. I think the same thing. I think the
No,
same.
you son of a bitch. You better cheer for the goddamn Giants. Fuck you.
I just don't think it's possible. I think the Cowboys are going to be riding high. They're going to stomp these Giants. The Giants, I think, are mentally broken now. Patriots, Vikings. This is going to be in Minnesota. So the Patriots traveling to Minnesota. Minnesota just got whooped in their own on their own home field by the Cowboys 40-3. So do we think they kind of licked their wounds here? Justin Jefferson saying this was an abysmal performance and they want to come out and play better on Thanksgiving. What do you think happens here?
Here's what I think. I think that the Vikings are more talented than the Patriots.
That's true.
So I think that they should be fine. But I think the thing that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick is probably one of the greatest he is one of the greatest defensive coaches of all time. I guarantee you he is enjoying the fuck out of his week looking at what we did and be like, oh, okay. And like even with a lesser defense personnel wise, he knows how to move them. And I feel like they're gonna fuck the Vikings up. Now, I think the Vikings will win, but I think they're going to have to scrap to get out of this game.
Wow. Okay. Respect. I like that. Okay. Yeah, because the Patriots defense looked real good against those Jets. Now, look, Zach Wilson helped them look good, but the Patriots defense has been good over the last few seasons. So I think they're going to come right. I bet they were preparing for the Vikings already as they were preparing for the Jets. So I got a feeling they're going to come out and give the Vikings all they can handle. And right now, the Vikings could be shaky. If they lose to the Cowboys and they lose to the Patriots here, then the old questions about Kirk Cousins, about the Vikings, about their ability to win games starts to come into focus again. And that could mess with them mentally for sure. So we shall see what happens there. Let's take one last break and we're going to jump into a little World Cup stuff and then we'll head on out of here right after this. All right, Winston, a big day in the World Cup here. We had the opening of the World Cup yesterday, of course, with Ecuador getting the 2-0 victory over Qatar, the home country, after that bullshit offsides call. But we moved into today, the first full day of games, and apparently we're getting 11 days of 3 or 4 games a day. That's a lot that we got here going on today. England beat Iran 6-2. The Netherlands beat Senegal without Sadio Mane, who was hurt. Bayern Munich Sadio Mane, used to be Liverpool Sadio Mane. They beat him 2-0. And the United States scored. Tim Way scored for the United States. And we were up 1-0 and then eventually gave away a dumb penalty. Zimmerman crashing into Gareth Bale from behind, giving Gareth Bale the penalty. And Gareth Bale rocked that penalty into the top left corner of the goal. And the game ended up 1-1 after 9 minutes of second half stoppage time. So what do you take away from the World Cup so far? Of course, we could get into the politics if we wanted to, but I'm focusing on the games since this is a sports show about the games. What is your feeling about the first day here of games that we got from this World Cup? Does England look like the odds-on favorite after that destruction of Iran? Or is it expected because Iran's maybe not as strong of a team and all the emotional stuff going on with them back home? What do you take away from this victory for the Dutch? They scored late, these 2 goals. It wasn't a dominant victory. And this draw for the United States, what do you take away from that?
Hey, Rocha, I'm a bad bitch. I can do 2 things at once. We can be political and still focus on the games. Real quick. First of all, the thing political, I'm not surprised Qatar got their ass whooped. It's called you put a lot of bad karma in the fucking world in the way that this World Cup came to be in your country. So
Bad juju.
Bad juju. That makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Netherlands game, I didn't see much about it. I mean, sad for Senegal that they, down 2-0, right? That's never a good way to start. I mean, you want to talk about probably not recovering. Iran's fucked. Like if we're being, it's not only the loss, it's the loss by that margin.
Yep.
You got to lose by a game so that then if there's a differential, otherwise Iran has to just like run up the score on these other teams. And how, Sway? Like when and where is that going to take place? So it's sad to say, but Iran might already be done. But the main game, obviously, I want to talk about is USA and Wales. And I am so frustrated because watching that game, we really had them against the ropes of the first half.
Yeah.
And we're still kind of controlling them in the second.
Yep.
But I'll be honest with you. I think what really probably did it above all else, dude, I'm sorry. That officiating looked rigged than a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like it felt there were so many, you gave those calls to Wales, but then you would not give them to us.
Right.
Like all sorts of like yellow cards. And like the one that got me and the announcers called it out at the end there is Placard, not Placard. What's the name of it? Pulisic went down and he's like hurt. And he's like, he hobbled back up, like waving, like, what the fuck? But you stopped yet again for Wales when you shouldn't have at that particular point, but you stopped for them to go check on them. They were like, well, they're typically only doing this for head injuries when you get to a certain period. And they stopped it for Wales, but Pulisic is down there on the ground and they will not do. And I'm like, are y'all fucking shit? Like, this is blatantly apparent that you're not making calls for us.
Yeah.
And we still were handling them. So, like, I think if we weren't hamstrung by bullshit officiating, they may have held out for the win.
Yeah. You sound like a good American fan. Absolutely agree with you 100%. Welcome to the club, Winston. Yeah, absolutely. The refs have always been in the pockets of the other teams because they hate the United States. We dominate them all over the world and everything else. And we're the world power. We're the world superpower. So they hate us.
You're fucking shitting on me right now.
No, I'm being serious. They hate us because they ain't us, and they always at these international tournaments, we get screwed over by the refs all the time. We get they have one set of code for other teams that are European teams, and they have another set for us, and it's so frustrating to see this happen. But I would be fair to this. I think this referee was shit all over the field. I thought he was terrible all over the field. He did favor the Welsh a little bit more than us, but he made some terrible calls. And there was earlier on the second half, one of the players barreled through one of the Americans after he had handed out 2 yellows to the Americans for doing the same thing in the first half. He did not hand it out to a Welsh player.
And he didn't give this motherfucker a card. The same dude did it twice and he did not give this motherfucker a card. And I was like, bro, make up your mind. Either this is a foul or it's not, but you don't get to card our entire team for the same shit, for lesser versions of that. And homie literally comes up, looks like fucking Goldberg from the goddamn Replacements, just knocking motherfuckers over. And you think, are you kidding me? Like, miss me with that shit. And I see what Connor's saying about the foul that happened when Turner came out of the goal, where they were stopping Bale from shooting. But that was actually a very smart foul, and it was very far from the box, so it wouldn't have been a penalty kick anyway, or not, like not one on goal. Right. So like, yeah, sure, maybe, but like, it's not the same. They missed. So I was literally sitting here like, what in the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah, Connor, you're wrong, because first of all, the player who hit him got a yellow card. There was a free kick, but he did the right move because Bale was going to try to score.
He was about to score
all that way out there on an empty goal because Turner had come out. So he got the yellow card, the player who fouled him, and Bale got stopped. But it's not a goal scoring opportunity in the way that it's technically administered, which is the player is all alone against the goalie. Defender comes in and tackles him from behind. This was a shot from the fucking midfield of the pitch. Okay, they were not going to give a red card for that just because he knocked him down before he could shoot the ball. That's ridiculous. So did get a yellow. I did like our spirit, Winston. I think we came out completely unbowed. We were more aggressive. We were more inventive. We felt more confident as game was going on. I think what let us down, I'll be honest with you, was Pulisic. I'll be honest with you. To me, Pulisic and Weston McKennie. Weston McKennie is like one of those players. He's like Russell Westbrook. Like when he's on. But when he can't shoot, holy fuck, does it suck. But you got to play him because you got hope that maybe he'll explode for that drive to the basket or that three-pointer.
I get it.
That's what I feel like Weston is.
We
could have got a second goal. We should have gotten a second goal.
People were asking why Aronson didn't start because the kid's good enough to do so. And I think it's kind of similar to like that whole Roy Kent type situation where you're just like, no, you kind of play the veteran hand and the young gun will get his opportunity. Like, don't worry about it. Right. But again, yes, Pulisic could have done more, but it's kind of hard when all of the fouls, they were literally, it looked like playing the bad boy Pistons, bro. they were just smacking my dude around
and then
being like, welcome to Qatar, bitch. We saw motherfucking John Oliver. You ain't gonna ruin the World Cup for us, bitch. We saw that shit last night. He American now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just I think it says something when our team was not playing any more aggressive than the other team, and we're sitting here with 4 cards to their 2. Fuck that shit. Like that's this idea that it was good reffing. I don't agree with that.
No,
Not when you were seeing them being rougher with us and they have less cards.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, did we watch the same game?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. So we'll see what happens. And tomorrow we got 4 games starting at 2 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Argentina taking on Saudi Arabia, Denmark taking on Tunisia, Mexico taking on Poland, France playing Australia at 11 a.m. PT. Unfortunately, I will not be watching any of these games because I've got to drive up to LA. I've got a thing going on in LA. But on Wednesday, I will try to do some watch-alongs of these games on this channel, the Game Time Sports channel. I'm only doing the U.S. watch-alongs on the Outlaw Nation channel. The other watch-alongs will be here on the Game Time Sports channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe if you want to hang out with me and have some fun watching the games.
Rocha, I don't think I can do it. I was gonna try and stay up and watch these games, but bro, they at 2 a.m. It means they're over at 4.
Go to bed.
I got work at 11, bro. Like I can't do it, Rocha. I can't.
I know, man. Dude, South Korea was worse. South Korea was worse than this. It was like the timing on that was just so frustrating. I remember that years ago when that was it. But yeah, on Wednesday we have Germany versus Japan, Morocco versus Croatia, Spain versus Costa Rica, and Belgium versus Canada. I'll probably do a back-to-back watch because I'd love to see Spain and Costa Rica. I'm cheering for Spain as a Latino. Belgium versus Canada could be very interesting as well. So a lot of people think Canada is like kind of a dark horse. A lot of people think Belgium is done and cooked with this promise of the young generation. They've gotten older and not won. So who knows what'll be the truth there when we see that. So, all right. Any final things? Anything else we want to touch on, Winston? Or are you good to go?
I mean, like I said, we kind of talked about Iran beforehand and just what's going on there, and I would highly recommend for anybody that is watching the World Cup. If you're not a fan of John Oliver, I would highly recommend you go watch this most recent episode. He dives into the World Cup and specifically everything that went down in Qatar to get the World Cup there. Yeah. And the very solid point, I don't know if you remember during 2020, during the pandemic, I was very anti-sports coming back when they did. Yeah. Because we were in the middle of all those protests. And everybody's like, no, everybody needs a release. And I'm like, no, we're on the precipice of actually having a little bit of change. Yeah. And if you do this, people will be distracted and all of this shit goes out the window. Yeah. And of course, what happened? The NBA bubble happened and then the NFL kicked off. And then nobody gave a fuck anymore. And to be honest with you, the final thing that John Oliver said, and again, if you watch it, he breaks it all down. The minute the first kickoff happens, it's just the World Cup, and nobody's gonna fucking care. And it makes me sad because, again, I highly recommend you watch it if you just want to watch the bit. I'm sure he does this a lot where he'll put the bigger story on YouTube. Yeah, it's pretty fucking awful what had to happen to have this tournament happen here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, another thing, there's a great podcast called The Football Ramble, and they're doing a great 6-part series where they're going inside Qatar, inside what happened, how they got the World Cup, and then all the controversial stuff that's happened with the workers there, with the treatment of women, with the treatment of the LGBTQ community. All of that is covered in there. And also, I really like the BBC or the British approach to it. They're speaking about these things. Gary Lineker was on and introducing the first game, and he spoke about all the stuff that's going on there in Qatar, all the controversial stuff. You're not seeing any of that covered in the American coverage, and it's a little frustrating to see that. And I'm not sure why, because I'm not sure why the Brits can cover it. Is this a policy decision? Is this a decision by the company, the corporation that doesn't want to get into the politics? Do they feel that they're going to alienate half the crowd somehow if they talk about this stuff? I don't know what it is, but I mean, everyone else is talking about it. So I feel like it's a little bit of journalistic negligence to not talk about it. So hopefully they read the signs and take a look at this stuff, because there's nothing wrong with presenting a fuller picture so that we as fans,
absolutely,
because people are still going to watch. They just want to be more aware of what's happening. So that's all. Yeah. We shall see. All right. Thank you all so much. We appreciate you joining us here and hanging out with us here on Game Time. Thanks for the Streamlab that came through. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Oh, I am 2 Fly Cam said, love the show. My hot take is Lions will beat the Bills on Turkey Day, 3 in a row, on our way to 4. All right. I am 2 Fly Cam. I'm in your corner. I'm in your corner, as you heard earlier. So thank you very much for the Streamlab there. And what else can I say? Oh, yeah, Winston, where can they find you? Anything going on, man? Thanks for hanging out. Another fun show.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere at the Swaggy Blurred. I got it. I've been again doing my Law and Order Sports Victims Unit series on TikTok and eventually moving it to YouTube after a few days. Had a fun one with the Packers loss last week. The cool thing about this too is I've been really upping my game. I don't know if you saw it, Rocha, but I figured out how to act in two places at once.
Yes,
like I literally like not just the kind of cutting back and forth, but like on the same screen, bro.
Dude,
like,
I almost texted you. I was like, "How the fuck did you do that?" So please let me know, because I've got an outlaw who wants to act in some of my skits. So please.
Yeah. So I got you, man. But it's been a good time. So definitely come and check it out, and also follow my YouTube channel. Got like reviews and comedy sketches up there as well. So
definitely watch his stuff on TikTok. It's very funny, that sports victim unit. Every time it pops up as a notice on my
figure out what I do. Maybe I actually have a good idea. I got a good idea. Okay. The wheels are turning, baby. The wheels are turning.
I love it. As for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, the Outlaw Nation on Twitch, and subscribe down below to this Game Time Sports channel. We appreciate you. Got 250 now. We just crossed 250. Let's keep marching.
Oh, yeah.
And subscribe to this so we can get to that 1,000 subscribers mark and get to that 10,000 watch hours mark, so we can monetize stuff and keep building. Trust me, there's more sports content coming that we're going to create here for the channel, so we appreciate it madly. All right, y'all, take care of yourselves. Be well. Enjoy your week and your holiday. Have a great time hanging out with your family and friends if you can, and enjoy your turkey day. As I said, I might go live on Thanksgiving night for like 3 or 4 hours, just hanging out with you all, having my food and hanging out and talking about kind of shit. So if you're bored, if you want to break from your family, if you just want to hang out, look for that notice when I put it up. All right, peace. Y'all take care of yourselves. Be well.